Good morning, Jernine Russell, back with another edition of Purpose Driven Life. Glad to be back here. And it's the morning. I don't normally film in the morning, but hey, here we are. I hope you're doing well. I hope you have liked, shared, and subscribed. And I hope that you've been watching previous episodes. And remember to send it on to a friend who may need a bit of encouragement, or there's something that has resonated with you that they may need some inspiration or something from. So I'm back again. As I said before, we have been doing this for 3 years. It started with a little tap on my shoulder from the big man himself, aka my dad, aka God, the real G. And he asked me to speak to people about purpose. And my advice to you is that when you're asked something from God, just do it. Don't hesitate. Don't be like those children, like how I was initially. But look at where we are now. 3 years ago, I said yes, and now we're doing this. So this is to bless other people and to also glorify God. And I'm just so pleased that I said yes. So I have got a great guest for you. This woman just keeps me on my toes, keeps my game strong. Like, you need women in your circle like this woman. And she will introduce herself, but it's just, we met on a course and we just kind of clicked with each other, and we've remained in contact, and just somebody that keeps me accountable, asks me good questions, challenges me, and just wants me to be better. And I love that about our relationship and about her. And I will let her introduce herself.
That is an intro within itself. Thank you, Jernine. Hey, everybody. My name is Gerry Anyanwu. What am I? I am a mother. I am a media professional. I am a governor in school. I run a social enterprise. I am a Black women's coach. I am all things to all people, but most of all, I am a friend here to talk about my purpose-driven life.
Yes. See, you don't even need much of an intro. I don't even know where to start. I have been so grateful for our friendship. When did we do the course? 2022?
2022.
So for about 2 years, and it was so nice to have somebody else to kind of like moan to.
Amen. Amen.
Because we spent a lot of time feeling frustrated in that course, but I feel like we kept each other going. I feel like we got each other's vision.
Yeah.
And that is such a beautiful thing, because not everybody in your own, like my own friends, and I know we've shared this before, like in your circle, they might not get your vision. They might not understand the things that you do. So for me, it's been a real blessing. God answers prayers, I'm telling you, because or even sometimes you don't even pray it, but it's something that you're thinking about, that you would need another female who you can have those conversations with, because I do have those conversations with people, but I don't have a lot of those with a lot of Black women. So it has been a blessing in the little time that we've eaten, we've had drinks, we've talked about the kids, the partners.
The partners.
Yeah, the husbands, the husbands to be,
the husbands.
It's family. There's so many parallels, actually.
There really is.
We have a lot of things that we... and we laugh together as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's... I'm really grateful for that. And I just couldn't not have you come and do this, because I see it. I see you walking in your purpose. You got so many things that you do. And I don't know how you're going to narrow it all down, but I'm looking forward to... hearing what your purpose is all about. So I always start, I gave you my little intro of why I came to do this. You've worked in the media industry for many, many years. You know what? It's mad, because I did a media A-level. That was one of my first passions. My mum worked in media for many years.
Oh, no, I did know that.
Yes, I told you that she worked there. My work experience was in Ms. Magazine, for those people who are old enough. So my mum used to work in IPC magazines. She's worked at many newspapers, magazines, and maybe that was maybe my little insight into it, but I just loved media, like all forms of media, radio, obviously podcasting now. So I always thought I was going to kind of go that route, but I don't know what happened. I did the A-level. I did really well with the A-level, but I was torn between criminal justice or media, and then the criminal justice came. So when you speak about what you do, I just find it really intriguing and exciting. And I like to hear that you are impacting the world.
That's the word.
That is what you're doing.
That is the word.
Yeah.
That is definitely the word.
So it's a big thing to carry, babes. But I think you can do it.
Yeah. Do you know what? Years ago, I remember, like, I think one of the things that I love about us is our similarities. And you're so right. Like, you don't necessarily get to talk to my, close circle of friends about this part of my life. I don't get to share that with many people. And we're really similar in the spirituality sense, in the driven sense, in the fact that we want to create impact in spaces. And I remember years ago, I listened to, like, Oprah does I think it's called Soulful Sundays. And she said something, and it was something around the lines of some people are just here to serve. And it was actually like what success is about for her is about service of others. And it's rung so true to me. So when I was thinking about coming here and I was thinking about, the big question, what is my purpose-driven life? It really is that. So it's actually, I think it's about having an impact I say this a lot actually, in my working profession. And if you ever look on my LinkedIn, it actually says it in there. Like my intro on LinkedIn says, Gerry is multi-passionate, which I am, but I'm also about having an impact in every space I'm in. And I think what I now recognize for me is the first part of my life, believe it or not, I was really quiet. And I think a lot of things happened to me. Like there was a lot of traumas at home, emotionally, physically. There was lots of things that happened to me growing up. Because of my age, I won't say it, but growing up as well as a black, dark-skinned woman, not seeing that representation anywhere, what I thought about myself. So there were a lot of messages that weren't necessarily positive that sort of shaped the first half of my life. And then somewhere I found my voice. And so actually now, that's why I say it's about having an impact in every space I'm in, because that could be on my poor son, that could be on the bus. That could be on the bus, and it might be something mad. Like you see an old lady trying to get on the bus and nobody wants to move down, and I'm like, excuse me, people, it's early. Like, and my son's like, mum. But do you know? And that's what I realised. I can't really define, but it's in every space that I'm in, and generally it is in professional spaces. But in every space I'm in, wherever, I have no fear. Like even today, I went for a walk this morning. And I saw 3 kids in the distance. They looked like they were no older than 10. They were in the middle of this field. And I thought, this is weird. Why is these 3 little white boys just sitting in the middle of the field? This is 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh. And then I went round once, clocked them. By the time I've done like a 2-mile walk, come back again. And I realised they're vaping. I can just see plumes of smoke. So then, and I was like, okay. Am I going to go over there and tell these kids what the hell are they doing? But I was like, no, I'm not. But then I just stopped where I was, folded my arms and just watched them. I just stood there. And then suddenly there's 3 of them, one by one, they clocked that I was watching them and I could see the discomfort. And then they sort of shifted and then they got up and then they just walked away. And I thought, you know what? I have no fear. Like, whatever space I'm in, I'm here to make an impact. I'm here to leave an impression. And that is now my purpose. And it shows up in lots of different ways. I mean, I do lots of different things. It's the reason why I'm a governor in my son's school. It's the reason why so in my day job, I work in a media company. It's called Global Media. So they look after Capital Radio, LBC, Smooth. They also have the contract for like all the advertising on the underground. So it's huge. But within that company, I'm the co-chair of the Families Network. So I represent families because that's a huge part of my identity. I work really closely with Rise, which is our Black and Asian, so supporting that. So I suppose in every space I'm in, again, that's what I mean, that's my workspace. In my son's school, I made sure I was a governor, because you know what? There are no, in a school, in a modern school, there's 2 black teachers. So I was like, no, I'm going to be a governor in this school. In fact, they asked me, I did some work for them. Then they came in, they asked me. I set up a social enterprise called the Uncommon Collective because of the lack of representation in the industry I was in, because of the concrete ceiling that was above my head. And I got to a point where I was like, okay, for me now, it's about how do I support those coming after me? And there was a real recognition, especially after George Floyd died, that there were all these kind of like apprenticeships and schemes that were happening, but they were very much aimed at like 18 to 25. And I was like, but what these brands don't get, if they don't engage with young people, especially our black and brown children, let's say especially our black children, are disengaging from education around 13. If we don't catch them early, that prison to pipeline is going to keep growing. They're not going to reach. So again, in that space, I set up a social enterprise. So I live by that mantra. Well, there's a couple of things. I live by the fact that I aim to have an impact in every space I'm in. I live by the fact that if it doesn't support my family, my friends, or my community, I won't do it. Because now I've created a level of credibility, stature for myself in certain spaces, especially in the workspaces where I'm a black woman now that has won a couple of awards, or what, like people kind of know my face. So now suddenly they come and knock in, they're like, oh, we want you to front this. And I'm like, okay, but does it support my friends, my family, my community? And if it doesn't, no, keep it. I don't want it. So yeah, it's kind of, it shows up in lots of mad and interesting ways. But I love it. My purpose is about just making an impact. Like, I suppose I think, again, when I think about the first half of my life, I felt like I wasn't the main character in my life. And there was everything
I'm only
happening.
laughing because in our house, we have this main character energy, like this, whatever my kids have seen. And yeah, I'm not going to name any of them, but yeah, some are main characters and some, but listen, I think you have to be wherever you want to be.
Yeah.
Because some people don't want to be the main character.
And you know what? My husband doesn't. And that is okay. You can choose to be the main character in your life, or you can choose to be the bystander. And there's no shade on anyone. But after the first half of my life being the bystander, I was like, that's not happening to me anymore.
Yeah.
And now I'm the main character. And not and I don't mean it in a
no, I know, and I know
offensive.
You. Yeah.
Like,
I think other people might think, but it's not. Yeah, it's like in a humble way, and it's not like, oh, look at me.
No,
it's
not.
More. I have so much to give, and I've got so much in me that can enable change and growth in other people. So,
exactly. Yeah. So now I'm like the main character, and I'm happy with that, And some people like it, some people don't. But
I love that you've gone ahead of my question, but it doesn't matter. We'll go back to number one.
Okay.
Even. What does purpose mean to you?
Oh, okay. What does purpose mean to me right now? Excuse me. I think it's purpose means life alignment. That's what it means to me. It means that in every space that I'm in, I'm at peace with what I'm doing. And because I know that my purpose is to have an impact, and because I'm leaning into that, it's given me a sense of clarity, so that I'm at peace with whatever I'm doing, whenever I'm doing it. And that's where the life alignment comes, because suddenly now everything I do is guided by that yardstick of, am I making an impact? Does it serve my family or friends? So it's that clarity of, oh God, it's so much. Because it's just a clarity of who I am and what I'm doing. And because I have that clarity, I now have life alignment. Like everything is like, not that I set it out to be that way, but everything is sort of now connecting. And now it gives me a sense of peace. It's the best way I can describe it. Yeah, it gives me a sense of peace. I'm like, and I don't know everything, and I don't know where things are going to go, but all I know is my yardstick of the clarity I'm leaning into, the impact, the family piece, means it's all good.
You know what? I I love when people define purpose and how it's different for so many different people. But I could really, I've really connected with the, almost like I say, you remember the book Slay in Your Lane?
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I think of. And I think of, it can be in so many ways. I love analogies. So, you're driving on the motorway, you have to stay in your lane. Because if you look to the left, what happens is that your car starts to veer. And so I can't look on your Instagram or your LinkedIn to see what you're doing, because that will distract me from where the lane that I'm in and where I'm going. So for me, purpose is like, it just aligns you.
Yeah.
It keeps you moving. My purpose and my focus and my kind of yardstick or my goal point is always God. It's always Jesus. So that's where I'm walking towards. So for me, if it doesn't go in that, or it compromises or contradicts that, I say no. So it's a bit like you, where you've got your community, your family, your friends. That keeps you, your community. I put them all in there. If that doesn't align with it, then you say no. So there's so many things that people might say, "Oh, come and do this," or "Do you want to go here?" Or mine is so deep, like, because mine is even into the places that I'm going to.
Oh wow!
Because there's certain things that I just won't be aligned to. Yeah. Because it just doesn't. Who is it serving?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying I have fun. I'm
but
all of that, but there's just certain things that there's certain spaces that
there.
You just won't see me in. And and I think it's the same with work, and when people approach you to do certain things, there's certain things that it will be a big fat no.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Nah,
big
I'm not
fat,
in it.
Yeah. So I like that. So you've defined what purpose means to you. You said what your purpose is as well. How did you know that it was your purpose to impact people?
Do you know what? Honestly, I didn't. So my journey I use this story a lot, but it's because this is how it happened. I didn't. I guess I've been on a journey of self-reflection, and that has been over the last 5 years. And that's where I've come to understand like my peace and this whole life alignment thing, and this like the inner peace. And so I've done the work, but it started at a party in South London. It basically started at a house party in South London. And so my friend came up to me, shout out Tina. I'm going to send this to her. I have to shout out Tina, because honestly, I will say this to the day I die. I think it was Tina and Priscilla, two very good dear friends of mine. And they were having a conversation, and they were saying, "Oh my God, you are so successful, as a mom in your career and da-da." And I'd never, like, what they say is when people shine the mirror back at you and show you how they see you, it can really have an impact. And that was a real defining moment. I never saw myself as successful to this point. I've had a 25 plus year career in the media industry. I've been in a 30 plus year loving relationship. I have a child. So, but I never saw myself as successful ever. So when my friends were like, "You're really successful. Like, you've had this career. You seem to be bossing it as a mum." I was like, who, me? But that day was the moment where I suddenly was like, oh my God. Like, my measurement of what success meant completely changed, because success meant, up until that point, a number, a job. It meant all these very physical things that society tells us we must strive for. The house, the job, the this. Like, what's that number that you want to earn in your salary? What's that position that you want to be? And that's what I was measuring and so to me, I was a failure. I was like, oh yeah, I was not successful, because I just hadn't, those numbers I hadn't got this career. And then I just had, so my friend telling me that started this journey of like redefining what success was. And I was like, oh wow, okay, I'm successful because look what I've achieved. This little black girl from Shepherd's Bush, first person in her family to go uni, like parents, like immigrant parents from Nigeria. Look where she is, look what she's done. And so that became this real journey of self-reflection. And I suddenly thought, I'm not going to break my head trying to crack a concrete ceiling. And often with black women, we talk about the concrete ceiling on our head. And
I
said,
like the way that you've changed it, because it was the glass ceiling.
no, so white women is the glass ceiling.
Oh,
but
really?
White women is the
because
glass ceiling because they can actually still break it.
Oh.
But at least they can see through it.
I'm going to say there's something really powerful, because I've only heard of it as a glass ceiling. I didn't know it was a black or a white thing. So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So that they can break it, but a concrete one, listen, I could get a sledgehammer, you know.
Right, so first of all, white women, no disrespect, your glass ceiling means you can see where you need to be going. Yeah. Some of you can break it, you know, some of you can break it, but at least you can see where you need to be going. At least you can see them goals. Black women, we have a concrete ceiling. I don't know how I'm going to get up there. I know something's happening up there. I don't know. I don't have the hammer. White women, you have the tools. Not maybe at your disposal, but white women, you can find the tools to help you break your glass ceiling. Black women, what tools are you finding to help you break concrete? How long are you going to be smashing that concrete to get up there? And that's how my career was. So that's why we call the black women, it's a concrete ceiling.
Wow. I learned something new today.
There you go. And so, I was just like, I'm not going to try. And I think there was a real shift around that concrete ceiling thing. And so then my focus became looking at those after me. And then at the time when Michelle Obama was in power, and I'm sure I said this to you, I suddenly started to think, my God, if I had turned, so suddenly I was redefining my success. And if I now I saw myself as successful and I'd conquered certain things that I never thought I could go back into schools and turn back the clock, I would be Michelle Obama right now.
Oh my gosh.
I really would.
Do you know something? Have you seen the program on Netflix of her where she goes into the schools and she goes into these spaces? God. I was just like, I really love her.
Yes.
I really love her. I thought she's like, it's not who she is, it's what she does.
Yeah.
And her heart for young people and young women, even like the way that she I felt like she protected her kids from the barrage of media and all of that kind of, she wanted them to still have a normal life and stuff like that. Anyway, I read her book, Becoming, and was just like, wow, this woman, there's like not a lot of people that I look up to like that, if that makes sense. But there's a lot, but there's things of her that are the same purpose.
Resonate.
There's certain things that she does that are the same. And I get why you are like, why you see her the way you do. But just the way that she's quite authentic as well. Like definitely. That's what I like about her. She didn't become somebody different because of where she was, you know what I mean? It was already there. The foundation of it was already there. So I get that she or there's things that she's doing that you can connect with or massively want to be the change that you want to see, isn't it?
And that is it. And I think that is it. And so I think for me, I realised that, you know, I had to start showing up. And I think this is what I was saying, like this whole, like for me, when purpose started showing up, I didn't know it was my purpose. I just started to do the work on myself and change my vision on what I was succeeding for, how I saw success, wanting to make an impact, recognising that for me, it was now about not looking upwards, but looking back. And the more I leaned into those things, the more life alignment came, the more opportunities came, the more, like I had a year. And that's where I suppose, to answer the question, the journey of purpose started 5 years ago, but there wasn't, and it started with a defining moment with a conversation from a friend. And it started because my friends showed me what they thought of me, which then changed my mindset about myself. And I started to reflect. And then that's where I'm on this transformation. That's the best way. Like, it's the only way I can answer it. I'm on this transformation. So
I saw this little quote on Instagram the other day and I screenshotted it. And it basically is saying what you're saying. But if only you could see yourself the way that God sees you. And that's what I think of. And like a lot of people struggle with the Bible, reading it. I was one of those people, oh my gosh, like every time I'm reading it, falling asleep or whatever, but it's become something different. It's like it speaks life into me.
Yeah.
And when you read how God sees you, and you know you're perfect, you are. This always happens to me when I'm trying to speak. It's like it just stops. Something just goes.
What's the word?
You're fearfully and wonderfully made. That's just one of the things that he says about us. But like, I look at the Proverbs 31 woman, right? And everyone's like aspiring to be like this woman. And there's elements of different women in the Bible that I can relate to. Do you know what I mean? One of my friends says, "Oh, you're an Esther." And I'm like, "I'm an Esther? Okay." I could see some of the things that Esther's done. And, you know, and some of them are nameless. They don't even have a name.
True,
they don't even, they feel like they're so insignificant.
Yeah.
But what they do
You're a side
is
chick.
so...
Are you trying to say you're a side chick?
No, I feel like some people, you don't even need to... I'm not doing the things that I do, or if I'm kind to somebody, or if I'm... Whatever I'm doing, I don't need the recognition from it.
Yeah, definitely.
But what it does is still impactful. Do you know what I mean? And I think about those women in the Bible who haven't got a name, but what they did was really poignant, you know? And I think about when you were talking about success and like how other people see you, I spoke to my last guest, and I feel like we're just like having a women's time, but listen, I'm here for it. This is my space and I'm creating it.
Isn't it?
But there's something about the journey that we embark on that enables you to start looking at yourself, start reflecting, start changing, unlearning some of the things we need to unlearn from our past or whatever. And the journey is really powerful. And it's something that I really encourage other people to like really dig deep. And, you know, one of the things that we share is like reading. We love to read, and like there's books that you've recommended to me. And this is like, we're not trees, we're not stagnant. We can grow, we can move, we can, you know, become better. And also some of the things that we are or who we want to be is already there, but we haven't looked at in the mirror properly.
You need to unlock it,
because I don't know what it is about the Black women where we've got this like self-destructive, like the way we speak to ourselves, the way that we put ourselves down, or we're always chasing this next thing. Like, or actually where you are right now, let's highlight some of the really good things.
Stop. Like, just
do you know what I mean? Not trying to get to this, you know, the lady I had last month was also saying that she was defined by titles.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? Oh, you know, she introduced herself. She said, "I'm a mother, I'm a this and that." And it's like, actually, away from all of those things, I'm actually Jernine.
Yeah. Who am I?
Before I became somebody's mum and wife and all of those, my job title, I was Jernine. That's who I was born as. And she's amazing. Without any of those other things. If I wasn't doing this podcast, I'd still be amazing.
Yeah.
If I wasn't Riley, Ray and Roman's mum, I'd still be amazing. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's...
Say that again.
No, I have to say that because I spent so many years, and you talk about the concrete ceiling, mate. If I'd known that that's what it was called back when I was chasing this thing of like, you know, you go in a job and you want to be promoted and it listen, that almost crushed me, Gerry, my confidence, my self-worth, self-belief, because I was trying to do this thing and all that was getting blocked left, right and centre. And then it makes you think that you're not good enough.
Absolutely.
And what I realise now, the people that I've worked for so many years, they're not good enough for me.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm actually making that declaration. I went to this conference the other day. I told you about this conference. Mate, I sat, it was in the Oval. And I was like, wow, I've never been here before.
Okay, yeah.
But I love to, you know, I love architecture and
experience new
you
things.
know, I'm looking at the bit and I'm like this, peeking out, seeing like, oh my gosh, I could imagine like my uncles, the West Indies.
Cheering on.
I don't even like cricket, but you know, the building was just like, it was magnificent.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in this thing, listening to this absolute
rubbish.
Like it felt like rubbish to me because I realise I've surpassed that.
Yeah.
Like literally, and it's not because I think I'm like, I just know that this is just not where I need to be. And I sat there and like sitting there like wishing the time away and whatever. And after I left there, it's like all of the trauma, all of the experiences that I've had working in this organisation just came to me. The 20-something years, like the tears. I was on the train. Gerry, I can't even explain to you what it was like. I just started to cry.
No way.
It was so deep. What I experienced, I feel really emotional. What I experienced, I don't know what, it's all of the years of trying and getting rejected and all of this
trauma.
stuff started to come up, right? And my tool for how to like overcome that now, I just had to find some paper from somewhere and just started to just journal all of what was going on, all of the emotions and everything. And I was like, I text my friend, my gosh, like I can't even remember what the words were, but I said, help. I need to get out of here. And she was like, what's going on? I said, oh, well, I'm here, whatever. And I after the journaling, I went to Nando's on my own, bought my favourite thing, glass of red wine. And I just thank God for the journey.
Yeah.
And I said, right, I'm ready.
And the clarity, because you now know I don't need to be here.
Listen.
I don't need to be here.
I knew that before.
Yeah, but
it came in this way. And I think...
a physical reaction.
Oh my gosh. What I've experienced and how I looked at myself because of this organisation. Yeah. How did I question me?
But this is what I'm saying. It's not even... I mean, it's that organisation, but your story will resonate with Black women time and time and time again. Because society, work, this, like, the weight of the concrete is deep.
Oh my gosh.
It's deep. You can't manoeuvre. But society tells us we've got to strive. We've got to try and get up there. We're trying to emulate our white sisters, and we're trying to, rise the ranks, because that's what successful people do. And we do that because, part of life is earning money, earning the bag, getting the career, getting the title. Yeah, I get all that. But the weight of this concrete ceiling is crushing. Mm-hmm. It's crushing your spirit. It's crushing your motivation. It's crushing your identity, because... like you said, I had that. I totally believed that every time I got a knockback, so I'd got to a certain level, and every time I tried to surpass that and move up, I'd get the first interview and then I'd not get the second interview. It was like, this is about me. I'm not good enough. I can't do it. You know what I mean? I carried that inner demon for donkeys. Like, even to the point where I was having coaching recently and I was saying, I could name check interviews. They were like burning memories in my head.
I've got them as well.
Interviews that I had where I came away and I was like, oh no, I'm not going to get that because I didn't say that. No.
Yeah.
The problem was this. The problem was the colour of this. Sorry, it was. And I'll take it on board. I get it. It's not always a black and white thing. It's not. Sometimes you aren't right for that role. But you know what? 7 times out of 10, I would say the problem was my black face. You know what I mean?
But and you know what I realised as well, in those spaces, they don't want the fearless, outspoken person,
They don't.
They want a yes person. And I'm sorry, Gerry, I know you definitely ain't that person. And I know there is no way I would have caused not a riot, but like, what did they call it? The nice word of riots is uprising.
Uprising.
I would have caused
disruption.
I'm a disruptor.
We are disruptors.
So I didn't fit in that. And you know what? Even though I get emotional, whatever, because it's just maybe, that Jernine, I just wish that I could have, I don't know, comforted her at that time. But this Jernine is saying to that Jernine, look, you needed to go through that to be where you are right now. But also, like, there's something else. Because if I didn't have that experience, I wouldn't be sitting here now.
Absolutely.
I'd be still sitting in the I'd still be in that office doing the same thing with this frustration.
Yeah. And do you know what? Not many people, though, can... Like, reflection is such an important thing, I think. Because if you are going to go on a purpose-driven, you've got to reflect and learn to let things go.
Yes.
And I think so many people don't reflect. And like now, like I truly believe I can turn my trauma into triumph. I can turn these are names for podcasts that I was thinking of. I can turn my struggles into strength. But that is what it means. I've reflected on them and I accept, but I've also accept my responsibility. And I think that's another thing as well.
That's really good.
I mean?
Yeah,
I've also accepted. So, I'm not going to put it out in the world that it wasn't me and it was them and it was system. I've accepted my responsibility in some of the interviews I didn't show up as well as I could have. I wasn't prepared. I can accept my responsibilities in that. But I now know that my trauma, I can now reflect on and move on from it and grow and be like, okay, do you know what? There's a reason why I went through those tears, that pain. And like, again, when you talk about purpose, I now sit in the space where like, the reason why the first half of my life was so bloody challenging and so difficult was because now I can use that and talk on it happily, and I mean, I've said to you, son, my son's IVF, that was a 10-year battle. But now I can talk on it, like without any shame, shades, fear, because I want to use that to help other people. And so whatever it is.
And I just always get those goose pimple moments because I don't feel like enough black women speak on it. I think, and society puts this pressure. I was reading something this morning and it's like, you meet someone who's over 40 that hasn't got children and you start asking them, why you got a man? Why ain't you got kids?
What's wrong with you?
And it's like, hold on a minute. Is it your business in the first place?
Yeah.
Because there's some people, I don't know if you know London Hughes, I think her name is, who's a comedian.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And she's been speaking out about the fact that she doesn't want any children. She likes her life the way it is. And, she's speaking very articulately about it. And I respect that.
Yeah.
But that's not everybody's thing. But children are not everybody's thing. Do you know what I mean? It's just not.
Yeah.
Like I understand people who make a decision and say, you know what? That's just not the route I'm going to go. I met this barrister many years ago. I used to work in the court and I love it's like a theatre. The courtroom,
system,
and this particular, she'd put on her wig and, she'd really, I'm just like, I just was in awe of how she would like handle herself in that courtroom. And, I used to go and speak to her and just like have like little chat, because there was a point where I was like, oh my gosh, maybe this is like what I really want to do. Like I was really loved it. Absolutely. I've always loved law. That's what kind of like my route that I studied anyway, but I really considered it. And then we had this real heart to heart. And then she told me she works a 70-hour week. And I said, what? Look at your face.
Like, what for?
So like, that is standard procedure. 70 hours a week. Like you're prepping the cases. You're doing the like court stuff. Listen, when she said that to me, she said, look, I've had to choose between having a career or having a family. And I had to make a choice. She said, I can have a family, but I won't be raising those children. It will be like a nanny or somebody will be having to raise them because this is the amount of hours I have to work to make whatever money. I don't know what their salary. I don't give a...
Who cares?
Listen,
it ain't nothing worth working 70 hours a week.
I could not work 70 hours a week unless it was... When you're a mum, you probably work more than 70 hours a week.
Yeah, it's true.
Which I don't, count.
Yeah.
But I just can't imagine working for somebody else for 70 hours a week.
Yeah. I don't even want to be working for myself for 70 hours a week.
What about your downtime?
Yeah.
That's what I think, because I think that's a lot of hours.
Yeah, no.
That's a lot of hours. And then, are you happy? That's my main thing in life. So you had that question where your friends were talking about, you're successful. But my defining moment was, are you happy?
Yeah.
And it was like, woo, what does that mean? Nobody's ever asked me that.
Yeah.
What is happiness? And you start to think about happiness. What is happiness? Is happiness being a barrister and saying to people, I'm a barrister? Yeah. Or is it that I have autonomy over my week and like we're here just filming this podcast?
Exactly.
Because we can.
I want when I want.
Do you know what I mean? And like, I love that I can go to the gym and do that class at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
because I can. Because that's
Yeah.
the life that, am I rich? Yes, I am, in terms of like my friendships,
Yeah.
my family, my children, like I feel like I'm really rich because
You are though.
I am.
Yeah.
Financially, okay, yeah, we can always make more. But when I divvy
Weigh it
that
up.
thing up, I'm like, you know what? I saw a job like at the beginning of the year, right? And, you know, I work from home, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I've done courses, I've done all sorts of things. Like I love to grow, I love to learn and stuff like that. And I looked at this job. It was actually something along the line. It was in the criminal justice system, not in the criminal justice system, but an organisation that works with offenders that go into prison.
Okay.
Very, very much. Because I told you,
Yeah.
if it ain't in my lane, I ain't doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. I do, even though I talk about it in the way that I do. But I love evoking change in people, transformation. I think it's so important. So this role was really good. And in the sector that I work in, you don't often see roles where the money actually matches the demand of what it is. I told you about this job. And I looked at it and I was like, yeah, do I want to stop working from home and go and work in an organisation, whatever. And I said, you know what, God, I don't know how I've seen this in this way that I've seen it. I don't know if it's you or not, but if it's you, open the door. If it's not you, all right, did the application, spent a long time typing out the application and stuff like that, sent it off. And it came back and they said they're not taking the application further. And you know, like the old me would have been like upset, maybe not cry, but really start to,
what is it about me? Why not?
You know, looking at me. And then I just was like, oh, well.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. I don't have to go work in an office.
Yeah.
I don't have to, you know, I think it would have been a great opportunity, but I just don't think it was the opportunity for me. And, you know, when you have God at the centre, the decision maker, the planner, the event manager of Janine's life, it is a great feeling because he knows if that job is for me or not. And now it's like,
Mr. Bouncer.
Yeah, man.
The
Your name
bouncer.
ain't on the list, you're not getting in.
You're not getting in. The bouncer.
So yeah, I do feel like purpose for me centers around God. He has defined my purpose. He's allowed me to understand it on a deep level, to be able to say yes and no to things, to make me experience happiness in a way that I just never thought I would. I always thought happiness would be when I had this house or this thing. Do you know what I mean? And now I realise that it's all in here. And the way that I wake up in the morning and just feel like this sense of gratitude and appreciation for life, for what I have, yeah, it's just, I don't know.
No, do you know what? Do you know what I love about you, actually? I think, like, in this modern time, not enough people resonate with faith. And I think it's funny because I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, I think when you talk about faith and Jesus and God, some people get very scared, like, because we don't live in a world anymore that champions communities and teachings. It's like we live in a very, we've moved into a very, like, individualistic time. Like, let's gain. It's about I. It's not about the we anymore. And I think people need to stop really. So, you know, like, I am born Catholic, went to Roman Catholic school. I still go to church now. But my relationship with God has moved into one, you know, and I still go to church, but my relationship with God and my Catholicism has moved into more of a spiritual one where, you know, where my understanding of what God can do in my life can just gives me a sense of peace because I'm not trying to control everything anymore. Like,
that's called surrender, my love.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm not trying to control everything. So I think for a lot of us, God comes like Father Christmas. Do you know what I mean?
Genie.
It is. And
Some people do think.
I was there, you know.
Most of us have been on that.
Yeah, I was
journey.
there, you know. And the worst time for me was when I lost my daughter. Just before I was about to lose her, I was like bleeding really heavily. And I remember being in my house I was saying, like, Lord Jesus, you know, like I'm a good Catholic. I go to church. I went to Catholic school. I waited to have my child within a long, you know, like I'm a good Catholic. Don't make this happen to me. I pray. Oh my God. And then I still lost my child. And my relationship with God just collapsed overnight. I was like, I'm not talking to anybody. There's nobody up there. Like it just went. Psh, psh, psh. And I remember going to my priest and this white guy, and I said to him, I've lost my faith. I don't have no faith. I don't know who we're talking to. All this thing you're telling me, like. And he gave me this book, and I still have it to this day, and it's called When Bad Things Happen to Good People. And it really just, again, like you have those moments in your life where it rebalances, like there's a shift happens. And I think it's so lovely to hear you talk about God, because I just don't, that's part of my life I don't get to talk with about anyone. And if I'm honest, I think, like, I love the fact that you're really bold with it. Like, you're doing this show, at the heart of it is, like, I'm being driven by God to have these conversations and hope that they reach people. That's a part of my life I don't really share with people because, I don't know, maybe I think I don't share it because I think, people are interested, or it's maybe a bit too woo and a bit too spiritual.
Not everyone gets it.
And not everyone gets it.
I don't care. It's like, you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
like you can have, there's different things that you connect with people on different levels. Do you know what I mean? And I connect with loads of different people, all ages of people. Like, do you know what I mean? I think about my friends, and I think, my gosh, I went to my friend's 30th last year. And then I went to my friend's 60th in the same year. Yeah. Like, because I have friends that are just so
spanning. Yeah,
generations. Because I feel like you can learn. But there's something that I want to be bold with faith, because why not?
Yeah.
Because when I was like on my journey, I used to think there's no Christians that look like me. Like, they're not cool or trendy or whatever. Like, they have the big hat and the long flowing skirt.
They got the Sunday wear.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to go, I remember going to church sometimes and wearing, like, just being myself and wearing whatever I was wearing. It's never, like, it's always classy and sophisticated. Yeah. But it's always a little bit out there sometimes for church, for the people in my church.
Yeah.
And I used to think, where are the women who look like me, who, like, they love fashion and they love makeup, or they love, you know, whatever. Yeah. But they love God.
Yeah.
And I don't know. As I said, sometimes God knows what you need. And I think social media has really helped in that. And I remember there's a lady called Heather Lindsay, and she does, like, amazing stuff. She does, I'm trying to remember what her ministry is called, but she's a woman of faith, married, 3 kids. And she preaches and she lives her life on fire for God, but brings herself. And I remember when I can't even remember what year it was that I first started to kind of, like, watch her sermons and stuff, but it allowed me to grow and develop and to be more open and bold with it. And you know what, I just before lockdown, I stopped going to the church I was going to, and I was praying and saying to God, like, I really want a church where I'm going to just feel I could just show up as myself. And lockdown happened, so there was a long time of like no church. Started watching this church online. I always talk about Pastor Mike Todd transformation. I always talk about it. Then I saw him and I was like, oh my God, this guy, I love it. Yeah. I love him because he's who he is. Yeah. The most trendy guy. The other day he wears glasses all the time, and then he showed everyone that there's no glass in the glasses. He just loves glasses. So they've got no lens in them. But he wears glasses, and he just, like, he's so real.
Just frames.
The other day he did this sermon where the barber was trimming him on the stage. But he used an analogy of the haircut and showing, like, because he's got the tightest trim. Like,
I know,
his
fresh.
Yeah, but he showed the black spray on the edges and the beard. He said, my beard is patchy, look. It's patchy. No. And showed, because everybody, look at your face. Everybody thinks that people are perfect. You put your picture on Instagram, but you're not showing that actually there's lots of imperfections in your life. I'm not trying to, I don't know it all. I don't know all the
Yeah.
Bible. I don't know everybody. I don't know every scripture. But
Oh.
what I do know is that I love God. I love him. Like, he's my dad. Like, literally, Gerry. I can't explain this. So, like,
No, you
people
said that
might
to me
think I'm
before.
crazy.
No.
But the love that I've experienced and received from God has allowed me to become exactly who I'm supposed to
Yeah.
be. And maybe I definitely wouldn't be here without that. But maybe that old Jernine, because that was missing, that was why the things happen the way they are. They're things, don't get me wrong, it's like, my life's not perfect. We have deep conversations, we talk about all different things. There's things that I'm working on and, striving to be better and to create a different life for my children.
Yeah.
Where they don't have to worry about things. And like, I want generational wealth for my kids. I want to leave a legacy of property and just things that they don't have to, things that won't restrict their life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just give
I
them
hear
options in life. But also with the tools of how to manage it, because there's a lot of people that are given things and then next thing you lose it. But yeah, I'm digressing. But yeah, I believe that there's lots of women like us that love God. And I'm really, really grateful that you shared what you shared. Because you've never told me that before, but I know, and I've got a really close friend of mine who has experienced a lot of loss. And again, like, there's been lots of loss. Her mum, her dad, and recently her auntie. And there's times when I know that her faith, she questions it.
Yeah.
And, God is a gracious God. And whenever you lose something, I believe that he restores as well. And it might not be in the same
way that
you lost, but with your relationship with him and how it grows, he's able to heal that real broken heart.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Do you know what I mean? And I just think faith is a journey as well.
Yeah, it is.
And I always liken it to, like when you started dating your husband.
Yeah.
Right? I think about Jernine and Marlon when we were like 20 and 22, because that's how old we were when we started dating. And like, you're thinking of, what am I going to wear, or where we're going to go? And like, you really want to impress that person, but you put the work in. You date for a long time.
You do.
You have conversations, you have time, you spend, it becomes like intimate time. You got to do the work with God.
Yeah.
And a lot of people want all of the things that God gives you, but they don't want to put the work in. They don't want to develop that relationship. I've had to learn to trust God. I've had to have disappointments and him comfort the disappointments because this is life. Life is not, even when you're walking with God, everything ain't gonna go right.
Exactly.
Because it's through the real difficult times
that you learn the lessons.
God shows up. Exactly. And that's when I experience him and think, oh my gosh, he's actually really real. Like, really, like I've had grief. I lost, she was like my other mum. This amazing woman. And I remember just being in my bed, crying my eyes out, like, this loss. And then I started to like kind of try and justify, like, hold on a minute, you're not supposed to be like this, because she's got her real children,
right,
who've really lost their mum.
really lost their mum.
So get up, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then it's almost like I just heard God's whisper, like, just be. Grief is like waves. It comes and it goes, and it, I don't have to justify or explain who this person was to me. She came at a time when I needed that maternal love, right? For whatever and now I'm experiencing that loss because it's not there anymore, and I'm grieving that. And grief is a thing. It's one of the most profound things. But there's something I read the other day that said you can only grieve if you've loved.
That is true.
And do you know what? The experience of love is the most beautiful thing in the world. So we're going to have to encounter grief.
Yeah. Do you know, God, you've given me something to think about there, but we'll have to save that one. I'm like, ooh, I need to ponder on that. No, because, I'll have to ponder on that one. Because when my dad died, we're going off kilter, but it's just something you said there. It really struck me, because when my dad died, I didn't grieve for like 5 years.
Really?
Afterwards. But I think that's because my dad died and I had to take the role of my dad for my mum.
You thought you had to take the role of you. You can't take the role of your dad.
No, but I thought I had to.
Yeah.
And I was sort of pushed into that position for various reasons. And I didn't really get to grieve up until like 5 years. And so, excuse me, for the longest time, I had a really sort of weird relationship with my dad. But it's only now that I recognise that I really am him. Which I don't know if I like, but it's like it is.
There's characteristics.
God. But I am very much his child. So yeah, it is. It's just interesting, like how grief shows up and how you deal with it
and how you navigate it. Because I think some people, like you're a doer, you're a busy person, right? And a lot of people like you in grief will busy themselves. They'll fill themselves with so much to do so that they don't grieve.
Yeah.
You remember what I said to you? Like I sat in that grief. I cried for days. Like, and I just did it.
Yeah.
And then I was getting ready to go to work. And then I'm like, what am I doing? No, I just need to take this time out to sit here in these feelings and think about the memories and the different things. And, there's it will still come to me at different periods of time. But it's also like when I went to the conference and then all this rush of like emotions came, and instead of like, I just cried. I'm on a train, who cares? I don't know these people.
Exactly.
They can either look at me or say, are you okay? Or whatever it is that they think. But then, I need to I need to feel what I'm feeling. And the writing helps me to kind of get it out. And that's just part of life that I've learn another tool of how I find that helps me in that space. But
alcohol and food is also helping you.
Well, definitely doesn't help. Either of them doesn't help.
Because you said you went Nando's afterwards.
I went to Nando's. I was hungry because I hadn't eaten that day. The wine, I think, what would I say about wine? I like the taste of wine. Actually, I'm a bit of a wine connoisseur. Not the Nando's one, obviously, but it was just a bit of me time. Yeah. It was the middle of the day as well. So it was like, I'm just going to sit here with me and just have something to eat.
Have a moment.
And it was, it helped at that particular moment of time. But when I look and read what I wrote, that's what I'm dealing with now, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And making sure that I can walk out of this organisation once and for all and shut the door and know that that's done. And I think that was the thing that came up. The emotions that came up were the unhealed bits.
Right.
That I still need to address, that I didn't know that I hadn't addressed. Do you know what I mean? So even getting emotional about it was like, oh, okay. There's some bits here. Yeah, there's still some things here that you haven't dealt with. Do you know what I mean? So
it'll come up.
Definitely. But yes, we've gone totally right and left. But it happens, man.
Go for it.
So you've been talking about your purpose, creating impact, talking about your journey as a mother, talking about your loss, and just being open of your journey to motherhood as well. Because I think these all shape us and create us. Yes. And maybe there's a woman out there who's maybe really struggling with conceiving and not sure about which ways to go. And I just feel like our community don't talk about IVF enough.
No.
It's like a silent, I know people that have had it, but it's like a big taboo almost.
Yeah, definitely.
So I always believe that the things that are shared on here there's somebody, I don't know who that is, they might never ever reveal themselves, but it will bless somebody.
Yeah, definitely. I hope so. And but that's my point, isn't it? It's about having an impact in every space you're in. I don't know what that looks like on a daily basis, but I'm here for it.
I love it.
I love it.
I love it. So what would you say the steps that you've taken to walk in your purpose? I think you gave us a little bit of an insight, the 5-year.
The steps that I've taken to walk in my purpose. Ooh, good question. What steps have I taken to walk in my purpose?
I feel like you've touched on them.
Yeah, I think I have. Do you know, but I think there's lots of things. I mean, there's lots of little things that I do. The steps that I've taken, so we just touched on it. So I firmly believe in the grace of God. So my brain's doing, there's a couple of different things. So there's like the very physical things that I do. So for me, to allow me to work in my purpose, I start my day a very certain way. And this might sound mad to people, but this is like, when I don't do it, I really feel like life doesn't align. So my day starts with like Joe Wick or whoever I'm doing, or Juice and Toya, or whoever it is on YouTube. But it starts with like 20 minutes of exercise in my front room. It's 10 minutes of yoga and 5 minutes of meditation, affirmations. But when I go to bed and I pray with my son, he knows now, we do like our Father and all that, and then we do gratitude. Those core things, like those are my steps that allow me to walk in my purpose, and it goes back to like the grace. I'm like, God, continue to just give me the grace to walk through life, because life is hard. Like,
it is.
Life is trying. It be trifling, and life be lifing. Jesus, seriously. And so, you know, like my daily prayer in the morning is just, I do my affirmations. I'm willing and open to whatever life is going to throw at me. And it's just I suppose one of my steps is my mindset. For me to be able to walk in my purpose, I have to have an open mind. It doesn't work if you have a closed mindset. If you don't believe, if you're not someone who believes in transformation and can embrace change, then trying to find your purpose and lean into your purpose is going to be really techie. It is. Whereas for me, I think those tools, like those very physical things of getting my mindset, like building this growth mindset, doing affirmations and gratitude, whatever you need to cling to. So, you know, for me, it's affirmations, gratitude, and God and grace, God's grace, that I get up every day and I have a life. That gives me the mindset that I can walk in my purpose, that I know everything will be okay. Even when I'm troubled and I be trifling or someone be trifling me, it's okay. It's not going to last forever. So I think that is one of my steps. I think what allows me to walk in my purpose is, you know, as I said to you before, my yardstick of clarity, but also being really, I had this year where I said yes to everything.
Have you read that Shonda Rhimes book?
No.
The Year of Yes.
Oh no, I've heard this. We've talked about this.
Brilliant book.
I had a year when I said,
Oh,
and it was
wow.
just after trifling. It was just after COVID. Went back into the office and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to say yes to everything. Everything that came into my inbox, I was going to say yes to everything. By the following year, I'd won 2 awards. I was asking to be, they asked me to speak at something, and it was because I just said yes. I was like, what's the worst that's going to happen? So again, for me, that what allows me to walk in my purpose is being open to the opportunities that are coming my way, but also allowing for opportunities to come my way. Like taking myself out of my comfort zone, networking. Like there's really practical things I think people can do. You know, go out there, network, expand your circle. You know, I hate to say, like, it's not a cliche, but your net worth. Your network is your net worth.
Yep.
Be looking for people out there that are doing different things to what you're doing. Expand your circle. Lean into it. Have conversations with people, because they will enable other conversations that then allow you to, do you know what I mean? So I think there's lots of things that I do, but they all align. I think the biggest thing is that I just have this growth. Like I said, my transformation, my growth mindset allows me to open doors for me, for others, lean into what I know to be true for myself, and be really comfortable with it. Like be really comfortable with the good days and the bad days. And you know, there are lots of bad days. There are lots of screamings. There are lots of like, I'm not sure. But, you know, be really comfortable with those. But also knowing that, okay, I'm not sure today, but I know that I will overcome whatever's going on right now. I will come out the other side. The clarity and the peace will come back to me. But for now, you know, whatever's trifling is going to be trifling. So yeah, I think I think there's lots of little, like, very physical things that I do that allows me to walk in my purpose. And there's also lots of kind of like more spiritual, more intangible things that I do that are around my mindset that allows me to walk in my purpose. But yeah, I'm kind of, and do you know what also, I think what I've come to realise is I was very much, like you said, I was very much goals driven, and I was very much like, I have to achieve my goals. I had to have a plan. And I am still kind of that person, but now I'm okay with not knowing. And I think that is the biggest shift in me.
Wow, that's big.
I am really okay with not knowing. Like, there's lots of things. Yeah, there's lots of things that play in my life, and I love manifestation. But I'm also like, I don't know where this is going to lead, but I know it's going to lead to something good, and I'm okay with that. So, like, my hands are open. Bring it. Let's see where we're going to go, you know. And I think that's another thing about walking in your purpose. For me, it doesn't necessarily mean there is a end goal, but it does mean that you're open to the direction that your life is going to take. And yeah, that's a big part of me being able to walk in my purpose. Is I don't know where it's going to lead me, but I'm happy with whatever shows up, and I'm happy to embrace it however it comes and wherever it takes me.
Reformed control freak.
Yeah, gosh, I am.
That's what I say to myself. But yeah, it's easy to let go when you trust the person who's got the reins and the sat nav. So yeah, or the driver. So the final question is, what advice would you give to somebody who is looking for their purpose?
Ooh, do you know what? Reflection. It's not do the work, unfortunately.
Yes.
Do the work on yourself. Your purpose, it's funny, I remember my friend who is a teacher, a really good friend of mine. She's been one of my besties from when we knew each other at 11 in secondary school. And I remember her, she's gone through a period in her life, and she was like, I don't know what my purpose is. Like, her life's changed. She used to live in London. She no longer lives in London. She's, married. She's got a very different life to the life, like the first half of her life. And she was like, I don't know what my purpose is. And I was like, maybe your purpose in life was to raise your daughter to be, and I won't say her name, but her daughter is a black female pilot. She's amazing, right? Exactly. And maybe that was your purpose in life, to raise this child to be this amazing black female pilot that we don't get to see very often. And that is what you need to lean into, my friend. And so I think sometimes people feel like, you can feel like, oh, I don't have a purpose, so my life doesn't have meaning. But unless you do the work, you're not going to find it. And it might not be the thing that you expect it to be. So again, this is what I'm saying about, you need to be open. But if you do the work, if you reflect on yourself, on what you enjoy and what makes you happy, like strip away materialistic things, like you say, along the way, somewhere it will starts to form itself. It just, I don't think it don't come, well, for me, it didn't come like a bolt of lightning. You know what I mean? It started with lots of self-reflection. Like I said, my friends had a conversation with me. That started my journey of self-reflection. I actually started to look at my life and think, okay, if I think of my career, what are the things that have brought me joy in my career? What do I like about it? Like, the biggest thing we do is our jobs. So for me, I was like, well, what do I like about my job? Like, what are the bits of my job that I like? And when I looked at it, I was like, okay, well, actually, I've always loved working with a team and seeing the younger members of my team leave and surpass me. That I felt like I was a good manager. When when one of my team came to me and said, oh, I'm leaving and I've got this job, I was like, I'm a good boss because I enabled that to happen. And so that started me then thinking about, okay, actually, maybe I'm going to move out of media sales and move more move into something called L&D and learning and development, because actually if you think of it, like, for those that don't know, if you think of it a bit like HR, but it's not the horrible bits of HR, which is all the like disciplinary.
Yeah.
It's the coaching and the empowerment of your staff, helping them learn and development. So I then decided I was going to retrain. So I spent like a couple of grand and retrained, and I got a diploma, an L&D. Then I started to, again, do the work on myself, thinking, what else do I like about my job? I love working with young people. So then I started, and I've always mentored. So then I started looking at, okay, there was an idea forming around working with young people, and that's how the Uncommon Collective formed. So for me, the steps to finding your purpose is just begins with doing the work on yourself. Like, do the work on yourself. And it, from a very basic stuff, just look at what you enjoy. And even that, there's this tool. So there's a book I read recently called The Book of You, and it's a coaching book, or The Business of You. And what it says is, draw an axis. And I think on the bottom line, you put all your pivotal moments in your life, career, family, and then on the y-axis, forgive me anyone that's in my mathematics, I've done that the wrong way around. But I think on the y-axis, you then plot like your happy moments. And what you're trying to see is what's been happening in your life where you've reached like peak happiness. And by putting it on a graph, you start to see like the moments. So what was happening at this job when I was most happy? What was happening in my life? Who was around me? And from that, you can start to like claw out what is your purpose. Because then you start to say, okay, actually, the moments when I'm most happiness, these things are happening. These people are in my life. I'm doing this. So if you're trying to find your purpose, that's where I'd say you should start. Like, reflect on your life and what's those moments of joy have been, and that will start, and then you'll start to see maybe little common themes. But so that's how it happened for me. Like, I did the work on myself, and I'm still doing the work on myself.
It's a never-ending journey.
It is a never-ending journey, but yeah, definitely reflection. Yeah, reflection was my starting point.
I don't know. We could be here for hours, Gerry.
We could.
It's been a bit emotional.
It has been.
And I said that to you. I don't know where this goes. You know what I find the most absolutely phenomenal thing about this podcast? It's the same 5 questions.
Okay, yeah.
Same 5 questions. But every podcast is different. Every conversation is different. It just goes all sorts of directions, and I love it, and I'm here for it. And we're just hoping that people get the tools so that they know how to, if they don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe it just helps to give them a bit more clarity about their purpose and just to walk more firmly in it. Because, that's what I think I've got from today is that, okay, this is the path I'm on. How can I lean further in it to walk more purposefully in my purpose?
I want to say thank you so much for having me. I'm gassed to be on here with you. And you know what? It's amazing. Like, we've only known each other 2 years, really. We met on a really car crash course that we did. I'm not even gonna name it.
No, don't name it. But
But you know what? We
got so much from it. It was valuable.
Yeah. Not in the ways that
we went
in there for.
Yeah.
But, we met, and we are that kind of guiding light for one another, and I'm thrilled to be able to do this. I'm thrilled to be able to like talk about my life. I'm definitely in a space now where I'm willing to open up and be vulnerable about the incidents in my life, because, and this is, like you say, it's my purpose to have that impact and to use my stories to hopefully help other people. So thank you for being that vehicle that this gets to come through, and I hope it helps somebody.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your vulnerability, honesty. And yeah, it's not easy to open up about things that maybe not everybody knows.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for another episode. Like, share and subscribe. Send this to somebody who needs to hear what we were speaking about today. And there are so many things in today's episode that I just think is going to really help someone. So tune in again next month with another guest, and God bless.